The Knicks desperately need something good to happen to them. They have been one of the worst franchises in the NBA over the past 20 seasons. Right now, the Knicks appear to be headed in the right direction. They've got two good building blocks in RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, but they need to add more talent if they want to have a true young core. The Knicks are in prime position to draft a stud in the upcoming draft, but the draft isn't the only way to add young talent. Teams can also add young talent by making trades. There's one young player that could become available for trade next season that I think the Knicks should really make a run for, and that player is Johnathan Isaac. Johnathan Isaac will likely be out for all of next season due to a torn ACL, but I think he's the perfect player for the Knicks to try to buy low on. So in this video, we're going to discuss why the Knicks should make a run at Johnathan Isaac, why the Magic would trade Isaac, and what the Knicks would probably need to give up for him. Before we continue, I'd appreciate it if you guys would drop a like on the video and subscribe. I love making content like this for you guys, and supporting the channel by subscribing really helps me to produce more dope videos. Now let's continue. First, we're going to briefly discuss the type of player that Johnathan Isaac is. Isaac is one of the most promising young players in the league. He just doesn't get a lot of headlines because he plays for the Magic. Johnathan Isaac was selected with the number 6 pick in the 2017 NBA draft by the Orlando Magic. What scouts loved the most about Isaac was his height combined with his length and athleticism. Isaac measured at 6'10" with a long 7'1" wingspan. While his scoring ability was raw, scouts projected Isaac to be a great defender at the next level and eventually become a good offensive player. In his prime, most scouts didn't see a potential superstar, but they believed he could become one of the better two-way players in the league. A player that Isaac was compared to a lot at the time of the draft was Andrei Kirilenko. Kirilenko in his prime was a great versatile defender while also being a 15 points per game scorer. When Orlando drafted Isaac, they were hoping he could be the modern version of Kirilenko. Isaac missed most of his rookie year due to a bad ankle injury, but in his third season, he was starting to live up to the draft's hype. This year, Isaac is averaging 12 points, 7 boards, and an impressive 2.3 blocks per game while shooting 47% from the field, 34% from 3, and 78% from the free throw line. In just his third year, Isaac has become one of the best defensive players in the league. With Isaac's size, length, agility, and high motor on the defensive end, he's one of the rare players in today's NBA that can guard every position. And evidenced by his 2.3 blocks per game, he's also a great rim protector. And to get an even better picture of just how truly good Isaac is on the defensive end, this is what Josh Hobbits of The Athletic said about Isaac. Before he got hurt, I thought he was the best defensive player in the league. His ability to defend multiple positions, his size, his length, quickness, understanding of what was going on and how to guard people, recovery instincts, I think he has a potential to be a premier defensive player in the league. I just think the sky's the limit for him. But Isaac's contributions don't end on the defensive end. This year, Isaac is shooting 34% from 3 on about 3 attempts a game. He still needs to improve his shooting, but he hits it at a high enough clip to space the floor. This makes Isaac the perfect modern-day power forward, able to be a stretch forward on the offensive end, but also able to guard perimeter players and protect the rim on the defensive end. Along with being an improved shooter, Isaac has made strides as a scorer. He now has the ability to put the ball on the floor to get to the rim or create his own shot in the mid-range. He's also an excellent lob target thanks to his size and athleticism. As of right now, he isn't a team's first or second option, but he definitely has a good scoring ability. Unfortunately for Isaac, this breakout season has also been accompanied by really brutal injuries. In January, Isaac suffered a really bad knee injury that caused him to miss most of the season. August 2nd was only his second game back from that gruesome injury, and Isaac took a bad fall and reportedly suffered a torn ACL. This injury is devastating for both Isaac and the Magic. Isaac will now be sidelined for the next 12 to 18 months after a breakout year, and the Magic just lost their most promising young player. I think that this injury could lead to the Magic trading Isaac, especially when you consider that next year is a contract year for Isaac. For most young players, this is the year for them to prove their value to earn a huge contract, but for Isaac, he's going to spend the rest of the year rehabbing. This puts the Magic in a very tough spot. Isaac has a lot of potential, but the Magic likely will be very reluctant to extend a very injury-prone player. Isaac likely won't agree to a low ball offer because he'll prefer to recover and get his value up to earn a big contract. For this reason, the Magic may choose to just trade Johnathan Isaac before he becomes a free agent and lose him for nothing. Now, it is true that Isaac will be a restricted free agent in 2021, but if someone is willing to max out Isaac or come close to it, the Magic would be likely to let him walk. At some point, the Magic have to decide if Isaac is truly in their long-term plans after this devastating injury. And if the answer to that question is no, they will look to trade him, and the Knicks should be one of the first teams that come calling. Why would the Knicks want Johnathan Isaac? Because the Knicks are still a young rebuilding team in need of young talent, and Isaac would be a perfect complement to the young pieces the Knicks already have. The Knicks could use a good power forward next to Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett. I've already talked plenty on this channel why Julius Randle is such a horrible fit. Randle has a complete inability to shoot the three ball, as he only shot 27% from three this season. Randle's inability to be a floor spacer clogs the paint and makes it difficult for someone like RJ to get to the hoop without collapsing into a wall of defenders. Along with the lack of shooting, Randle tends to be a ball hog on offense, and he's a horrible defender. If the Knicks were smart, Randle should either get traded or benched going into next season. Unlike Randle, Johnathan Isaac would be the perfect fit as a starting power forward on the Knicks. Isaac shoots 34% from three this season, and he also is a career 80% free throw shooter, which suggests that his outside shooting will only get better. Isaac would space the floor to create driving lanes for RJ Barrett, but the real benefit of having Isaac is that between him and Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks' defense would be nasty. Mitchell Robinson is already an elite defensive player. Robinson blocks shots at an incredible rate, he's a great pick and roll defender, and he can guard positions 1 through 5. Once Robinson gets his fouls under control, he will be a regular Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Mitchell Robinson and Johnathan Isaac together would be a block party, as both of these players are elite shot blockers. With these two on the floor, the Knicks will be able to seriously limit points in the paint. Furthermore, both Isaac and Robinson can guard every position, meaning that the Knicks can effectively run a switch defensive system. Switch defense is really good because it allows teams to limit the scoring opportunities of other teams, especially in the pick and roll. The Warriors have been playing switch defense for years, and they've consistently been a top 5 defense up until last year. But you need to have a team of switchable defenders in order to do it. Between Mitchell Robinson and Johnathan Isaac, the Knicks can eventually become one of the top 3 defenses in the NBA. Now, Isaac is going to need a year to rehab from his ACL surgery and another year to get his rhythm back, but I think the wait would be worth it for the Knicks. So what would the Knicks give up for Johnathan Isaac? Isaac may be hurt right now, but the Magic are going to want a good return for their young stud. They aren't going to just give him up for free. In the first trade, the Knicks are going to give up Kevin Knox, DSJ, a 2021 Dallas pick, and Detroit's 2021 second round pick. In this trade, the Magic are getting back 2 young players who have disappointed but still have potential. Knox is still only 20 years old and has potential to be a great offensive player. And while DSJ will likely never live up to that draft hype, he still has potential to be a great backup player. The Magic are also receiving a first round pick from Dallas and Detroit's pick, which more than likely will be a high second round pick. Both of these draft picks can help the Magic to either draft more young players or help them get more young talent. If the Magic are unwilling to agree with this trade, here's my second trade proposal. This may be a tough trade for the Knicks fans to swallow, but they're going to give up Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, and their 2020 first round pick from the Clippers. The Magic were interested in Frank Ntilikina about a season ago. Frank is a great defensive player, and he showed some growth this year on the offensive end. For the Knicks, it would sting to lose Frank Ntilikina as he's a fan favorite, but this is the type of trade that you make for the benefit in the long run. Now, after acquiring Isaac, I would try to extend him. I wouldn't max him out, but a 4-year, $80 million extension would be good for both sides. Now, Knicks fans would probably be uneasy about giving a player with that many lower body injuries an extension, but for all the reasons I mentioned, it would be worth it in the long term. The Knicks will need to let Isaac rehab for all of next year and bring him in slowly the year after next. But once he's back, the Knicks can have one of the better young cores in the league. If the Knicks can capitalize on these LaMelo Ball to the Knicks rumors, develop RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, and bring in Isaac, the Knicks will have one of the best young cores in the NBA. And I personally think that Johnathan Isaac's potential is so good that he'll make Knicks fans quickly forget that they gave up Porzingis for nothing. So, there you have it, NBA fans. That's why and how I think the Knicks should trade for Johnathan Isaac. Do you agree that the Knicks should make a move for Johnathan Isaac? How would you adjust my trade scenario? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.